Hello and welcome to Extreme Academy Live. This is course 4. This is where you come to advance your knowledge, advance your skills, and advance your future. Thanks for advancing with us. Now, we set these courses up. We set up Extreme Academy Live because we wanted to help people get jobs. That's what this is all about. Help people get jobs, help them get their first step on the ladder in the IT industry, or help you get a better job in the company you're working, help you advance. And that's exactly what's been happening. And we're really thrilled to get your stories back when you tell us that you've been training with Extreme Academy and it has helped you get a job or it's helped you to advance your career. And I just want to give a shout out to the most recent person who's got in touch with us. It's Ramadan. And he told us he'd got a job with a Fortune 500 company as an IP engineer. And he told us that studying with Extreme Academy really helped him through the interview. So I just want to say congratulations, Ramadan. Congratulations for getting that job. And if you're looking for a job now, that could be you. That could be you. So if you're looking to advance your career in the networking industry, in IT, then you're in exactly the right place. Now, before I tell you about course 4, we've got a birthday to celebrate. We are 1 year old. We're almost exactly 1 year old of Extreme Academy Live. And it was just almost exactly this moment last year that we first went live on YouTube. We started live streaming these classes. We had a mission to make IT and networking training free of charge and just train as many people as possible. So it's free of charge. The certification's free of charge. At the end of the courses, you get badges and they help you advance your career. Now, it wouldn't be the same. A birthday wouldn't be the same without a bit of a celebration. So I brought a cake. Now, here we go. So we're 1 year old. Ozzy, as you can see in the background, he's 1 year old. So now I promised my kids and the team that I wouldn't sing Happy Birthday live on YouTube. But how about we blow out the candle together, just as a bit of a birthday celebration. So here we go. Happy birthday to Extreme Academy Live. Hope the smoke alarm's not going to go off. Now, funny, there's nobody else here. I'm doing this from home. Everybody's out, so I might have to eat some of this cake on my own later. Now, we've already had some birthday greetings. Thanks for that. For those of you who sent in a happy birthday message, why don't you go and check out our new LinkedIn site, and we'll post some birthday fun on there as well. And if you want to post anything on there as well, we'd love to hear from you. That's where we are. That's where the team hang out. So if you want to contact us directly, you can do it through LinkedIn. We'll give you some other options for contacting us shortly. Okay, that's it on the birthday. Happy birthday, Ozzy. Happy birthday to Extreme Academy Live. Okay, so let's talk about this course. So this is course 4. And if you're new to Extreme Academy and you're thinking, course 4, where were the other 3? Well, they're on YouTube. They're in playlists. They're free of charge as well. You can go back and watch those. And if you haven't watched them, we recommend that you do, because this one, course 4, is getting more technical. We're getting deeper into the topics of networking. And if you don't have kind of some of the fundamentals of networking in your mind, then you probably want to go and do those. Now you can stick with us through this course, but if you start to hear terminology and you're thinking, what are they talking about? What's that? Then you'll be able to find those answers in course 1. Course 2 is about wireless. That's all available to you whenever you want to see it. Now, what we're covering in this course is network design for big networks. Now, just think about big networks and where you might come across them. So, critical networks. So, a network that runs in a hospital, or an airport, or a stadium, and these are enormous networks, right? They're in the background. You don't really know they're there when you're in those buildings, but they're there. They're running, and they've been designed to never be switched off. So, when you're at home, you if the internet goes down, it's like, Dad, I can't get on the internet. Wi-Fi's not working. What do? You reboot the router, right? You turn it off and wait for it to come back up, and then magically everything's working again. You can't do that in a mission critical network. In a hospital, you can't turn the network off. So there are network devices that have never been turned off. They are running all the time. And they're designed to do that. The networks are designed to never go down. So that's what you're going to learn about in this course. Now, when you've done the course, doesn't mean you can go and get a job and somebody's going to let you design their network at that stage. They're going to expect more of you some experience. But what we're going to do is we're going to open your eyes. We're going to introduce you to the concepts of big network design, and so you can understand the skills and methodologies and the way of thinking that's needed before you can work in those kind of areas. So we'll open the door. We'll open the door to that kind of career for you. And if you like building stuff, if you like building stuff that lasts, then working on big networks is a great place to be. So we've got 8 sessions. Isaac's going to spend a bit more time telling you what we're learning about. If you don't know the curriculum, then just go back to the registration page. There's a PDF document in there and it lists out everything that's covered in the course. So make sure you've had a good look at that, know what you're getting into, and know what we're going to be covering. We run 3 sessions up to the festive holidays. Then we're going to take a break, and the rest of the training is after the holidays, and there's an exam at the end. We'll tell you how to get to the exam once we get to the end of the course. It's all free of charge. Did I mention that? The exam is free of charge as well, and once you pass the exam, you'll get that badge. Okay, I'm just looking down at my notes. Did you do the other 3 courses? Let us know. Put a comment in the chat window if you've done. Did you pass one of the Extreme Networks Associate exams? You got 1 XNA? Have you got 2? Maybe you've got 3. If you've got 3, put a 3 and a star in the or 3 stars in the chat window. Let us know. Let everybody else know if you've got the previous ones. Okay, right. Let me introduce to Isaac to you. We're going to get going on the course just in a moment. If you don't know Isaac, then he's our lead technical instructor. He's the person that teaches other instructors. So he's kind of the teacher of the teachers. He's got a passion for technology. He loves teaching. You're going to get to know Isaac really well over the next 8 training sessions, and he'll guide you through some very technical concepts and explain them to you in his own special way. You can ask questions whenever you want. Just ask questions in the chat window. We've got an email address, which I think the team, if you can put that email address up, you can email us offline if you've got any questions. But join in the chat. That's a big thing about these live streams. You can ask anything you want. We've got a team of people. Bethany and Claire are behind the scenes. They're running the show. We've got a team from the Extreme Training team here who will answer your questions. And other people in the class could answer your question as well. So if you don't worry, there's no bad questions. There's some experienced people on this live stream as well, and they're here to help you out. We've also got a Discord server. Now, Isaac, I can see Isaac out the corner of my eye. Isaac, if you could spend a little bit more time talking about Discord and what you can do with that, and what that's about. Okay, he's nodding his head. You can't see him, but Isaac's going to spend a little bit more time talking about the Discord server. Okay, I'm getting the signal from the team. We're ready to go. So I'm going to hand you over to Isaac. I'm going to get on the chat with the rest of the team. So I'll look forward to chatting to you there, and enjoy the course. And hope you learn lots, and hope you're able to advance your career with us. Over to you, Isaac.
It's so fantastic to be back. Thank you, Rowan. Thank you, Claire, Bethany, everybody who is part of Extreme Academy. I'm so excited to be back. It's been a long time, right? It's been a long time since the last course, to get to this point in time. But it's also our birthday. How cool is that? Like 1 year, that we are celebrating. We've traveled far in this year. What a wonderful experience. What a wonderful privilege to be able to be part of this Extreme Academy. What can I say? I'm really excited about this. So let's jump right in without much further ado. And as you know, this course is about building scalable and mission critical networks. This is important because we've done 3 academy courses already. We've done the fundamentals, we did a wireless one, we did a career one, and now we're looking at this one. And there's some really scary stuff in this course. Not in this lesson this week, but in lesson 3 or 4, somewhere around there, there's some really scary stuff. Because even though we've tried to make Academy easy and accessible to everybody. And we've tried to make it, try and explain really difficult concepts in a very, very easy way. There's still some stuff that's scary, right? There's still some stuff that's like, ooh, your brain is going to hurt. It was like that for me as I was preparing to deliver the course and rehearsing and going through that. There were a couple of occasions where I like, oh, that's going to hurt my brain. I don't quite know how we're going to get through this. But it's an important thing. And the good news is that we have people on here on the chat, which is on your left, I think, on the chat. There's a couple of experts in the background providing live support. And feel free to ask any question, right? Any technical question. If you don't know yet, we have a Discord server, an Extreme Academy Discord server. I think the QR code is going to be popping up about now. And if you scan that on your phone or whatever, you'll be able to go directly onto our Extreme Academy Discord server. We have some really great moderators, some very experienced moderators, and you can get extra support over there. So live now, this is where the support is. Although if you go to Discord, there's probably other people there, right now. But after this lesson finishes, after the live transmission of this session, you can go on to Discord. And if you don't understand something, if you want to ask questions, there's a bunch of really helpful, friendly people there that are willing to help, willing to answer your questions, willing to guide you through and build a community. That's the objective, to build a safe community where you can go in and ask any question that you want, and there will be somebody there to help you, right? That was the objective of what we wanted to do with Extreme Academy, was to make it a safe space to ask questions and to learn. So that was a plug for Discord. Right. Let's get into this. We don't give away. A lot of people ask us, where can we get the slides? At Academy, we don't give away the slideware unless you want to set up an Academy yourself. And if you have any interest in that, just get hold of Claire on that on the email address that will come up now. But that's not the time to talk about it now, but so we don't give out slides. You're welcome to screenshot. So if you want to screenshot slides, please do that. If you screenshot or not, what we're going to ask for you is please look after the environment. Don't go and print this stuff if you don't need to. Print, if you take screenshots, well, put it into a PDF, keep it as a PDF, and then you always have those slides available to you. This is more or less what the course is going to cover. The course, when it was originally designed, to be taught over 2 days or the total of 2 days if you teach it continuously at a college or university or something to that effect. So I'm going to kind of try and cover this in about 8 lessons. I'm still not quite sure if we'll need more than 8 lessons, but I think not. I think that we can make it within 8 lessons in total. And as you know as well, with Academy, the lessons are actually 2 hours long. Now, people have said to me from all over, like, oh no, you can't have success with Academy if you do anything, over 7 minutes. People don't listen after 7 minutes. Well, this is not entertainment, right? This is not about entertainment. This is not TikTok. This is a serious place where serious people come to learn. And to learn means you have to sit and focus and concentrate. And I can't deliver some of these concepts in 30-second bites or 7-minute bites. It's just impossible to do unless it took us, 52 weeks to get through a course. So we chunk them up into 2-hour segments. A lot of people watch this and stay on. Our stats tell us a lot of you sit here and watch for the whole 2 hours, which is absolutely fantastic. Some of you have told me that your bosses give you time off for you to watch this as a learning assignment. Well done to those bosses, and well done for you for approaching them and asking them for that as well. That's fantastic. Well done to you. Always be hungry, always want to learn. Doesn't matter on what level you are. Always want to learn. And if you're watching this and you're like, I know all of this stuff, don't go away. Don't run away and say, this is too low for me. Help other people, because people on here, they'll ask questions. They're on the thingy, they'll go and they'll ask questions. If you're really experienced and and you've got all the chops and all the certifications, help someone else. Someone taught you. Maybe you said, I learned everything myself. Yeah, but someone had to have a teacher. Someone had to design that, and someone had to help you answer some of your questions. So help someone else. It's a good thing to do, right? That's the right thing to do. So 2-day course divided up into X amount of lessons. So this would have been, if I was delivering this in person, this would have been delivered. What you see here on screen right now is what would be delivered over 1 day, or day 1. So if you want to screenshot that kind of to get an agenda, please feel free. I'll leave that on for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5 times 2 is 10. Cheers. Off you go. Okay. So the first part that we're going to be talking about today is building for business outcomes. So in this lesson, if you're sitting here thinking, I want to know bits and bytes, you're going to be disappointed, because building for business outcomes, building scalable, massive wireless networks is a lot more than just like, how does the packets flow from A to B? That was in Academy lesson, Academy course 1. This is a different type. Although it goes into a lot of technical detail, it kind of all starts right at the beginning, where you start thinking about, like, why do we build these types of networks? Why do we build massive networks? Why do we need these types of networks? So when you understand the why behind the what, a lot of lights go on in your head, right? A lot of things like, now I understand. And as IT people, one of the things that often comes to bite us is we just want to get hands-on, right? Like, give me that switch, let me unpack it, let me go and stack it and rack it and stack it and do whatever. And sometimes what you need to do is you need to just stand back and think, okay, so what are we trying to do over here? Because ultimately, for those of you who work for employers, or those of you who run your own business and you actually roll out networks, this is very important. Think of this as the philosophical requirements. Think about this as a surgeon. A surgeon doesn't start by operating on somebody. A surgeon starts by studying books, by understanding the human anatomy, and by understanding and reading and discussing and learning all of that, it puts them into a position to then go and rack and unstack, whatever it is. You need to learn this stuff, why, and so that you can go and do that stuff. This module and most of day 1 is going to be like that. But stay with me. I promise I'm going to try and make this as interesting as possible, and you are going to learn stuff from here. So as I always do, when it comes to learning objectives, I always have to read. So by the way, I often have a Wacom tablet in front of me, where if I need to draw on the screen, I just go ahead and I draw. So sometimes you'll see me looking down. I'm not trying to be offensive or anything. It's just that I need to look down to actually draw. And I have a screen in front of the camera. By the way, all of this is done on an iPhone. I have a screen in front of me. And so sometimes I have to look at the screen just to read some stuff. I promise this is not Academy by PowerPoint, but there's just some stuff that needs to be read on screen so that it's really accurate. And this is one of those. So you'll see me looking to the side. You'll know what this is about. So what are the learning objectives for this module right now? Effortless user experience. It just works. It must work. So that's what we're going to be looking at. Things like define the term performance, all right? What does performance mean? When we talk about performance on a network, is it the same thing as an athlete's performance? Kind of, what do we mean by that? Because these things are important to know. Business outcomes, productivity, collaboration, and governance. If you work for a business, the business needs to grow, it needs to make money, it needs to pay you, and the business has objectives, or the business should have objectives. Productivity, collaboration, and governance are part of the objectives that a business is going to have when it comes to networking. You know, what they're going to require from their networks. Design challenges, past, present, decoupling the topology from the policy. That sounds like a lot of stuff. Don't worry, stay with me. And WIFM. If you know what WIFM stands for, then just go and put it in the chat. Come on, I'll wait a couple of seconds. Oh, come on, you're too slow. Everybody's like www.google, www.google.com. What does this actually mean? Don't go and Google it. Just tell me if you know what it is. We'll get to that when we'll cross that bridge when we get there. All right, let's go right in and start talking about what is a scalable network. It's a network property that ensures that the overall network performance may not significantly degrade regardless of the size of the network or how fast or how big the network increases. Okay, so let's turn that into English. All right, scaling up. The ability of a network to grow, to increase the size of a network without negatively affecting the performance of the network, right? A good analogy for this is a highway, right? You have a lot of traffic going from one little town to the next little town. So you build a highway and you make the highway, 2 lanes. Suddenly the town starts growing, more businesses, a university comes in. Ooh, the traffic is really congested. Instead of taking 10 minutes to get to work, takes you half an hour to get to work. So as the towns have grown, the infrastructure has not kept up, right? You need to scale that up. Now, most people would say, okay, build another 2 lanes and have 4 lanes and double. Does that solve the problem? Generally, it doesn't. It helps, but it doesn't. Maybe you get creative. Maybe your town says, okay, maybe we have public transport. Maybe we have a monorail. Maybe we have, a bicycle lanes. Maybe we do all of those types of things to increase that capacity, right? In networks, you need to have scalability, the ability to grow without slowing everything else. It kind of seems logical today, and I guess it's always been logical. But you can't build a massive network today without basing it on scalability, without considering the concept of scalability. What about mission-critical networks? Mission-critical networks. We hear that term a lot, right? Mission-critical. Well, it can mean different things to different people. If you work in a nuclear power station, mission-critical can probably mean, something a little bit different than if you work at, for example, Amazon, or if you work at, I don't know, the utility, the local utility company that provides electricity or water or something to that effect. Mission critical means different things. But no matter what it really, really means, at the bottom of all of that, there has to be a cost. Okay? To a network not being mission critical. A network that's not mission critical ultimately is going to have a very high cost related to that. Google says that for every 5 minutes that they are down, so if their network goes down, it costs them over $500,000. Now, you might think, $500,000, how can that even be? Well, just think about the millions of adverts that go out for which they get a tiny little fraction of a percent of a penny, a cent, or whatever it is. that's kind of like, ooh, you don't want to have too many hours of being down. Why? It's mission critical. Amazon says that they lose about $1,100 per second that they are down. Per second that they are down. So what does mission critical mean to you? Do you run a hospital network? What does mission critical mean to you? It could mean people's lives, right? If you work in the entertainment industry, maybe a casino, what does mission critical mean in that environment? It doesn't matter what exactly it means. Underpinning all that is going to be a financial cost. That's what it means. So what about network performance? How do you define network performance? If I was to use a fancy, thing, I could say, well, network performance is the analysis and the review of collected network statistics. In other words, if you take a snapshot of a network, of a network performance in time, well, that's just like taking a photograph of somebody, right? You freeze a millisecond of that person's life. But if you want to do network performance, you really got to take lots and lots and lots and lots of snapshots for you to get a much better idea. Think of it as, you've probably seen on Instagram, you have these people who take, photographs, who've been taking photographs of themselves, selfies, for the last 4 or 5 years, every single day. And then when they join that all together, you can see them get older, as it goes along, right? That's kind of, network performance. You take all of these slices and then you kind of measure that over time, and you start to see, is that network performance going up or going down? Now, some of the stuff is basic, but it's important that you actually get what this is about. Okay. I'm just checking here up on my time. Okay. So, if you have a home network or a business network, you can go and do network performance analysis too. Like, how fast is my broadband? Yesterday I was doing a stream, and I had a lot of jitter happening on the stream. Now, I have a 30 odd meg connection or whatever to the internet, but it shouldn't give me a stream. It shouldn't give me jitter, but it still did, right? So you can use tools to measure your network performance, like here on the left-hand side, network performance, and you can see, all right, it's going to test my network and, the download speed. And you can see over here, it comes back and says, oh, you had 15 seconds, ping time, you had this amount of download, et cetera, et cetera. And on the right-hand side, it's a upload. So you got so much download, you got so much upload. And they do this over a short period of time, right? Network performance. How did my network performance test across that period of time? It could be, 1 minute. It could be 2 minutes or 3 minutes. And that gives you a snapshot. And you look at it and say, oh, my performance today is good. Actually, it's my performance in the last 5 minutes, or the network performance in the last 5 minutes. So these are kind of important concepts that we talk about and that we think about when we talk about designing these types of things. So if you are designing a network, you have to really start by starting to define what are the requirements of the network. Okay, that's kind of the first thing. If you're self-employed and you're a networking company, and a company approaches you or somebody approaches you, you have to sit back and actually go right back to basics and say, what are the
I'm not sure I understand.
You don't have to understand. What are the requirements that I have for networks? Well, to accelerate change, to build better, there are a couple of things that networks should have. All networks should have, that you build should have. And number one, they should stay up all the time. We've already mentioned they should stay up all the time. And that means that even if in the event of a failed link, equipment failure, overloaded conditions, they should still stay up. Now, if you don't work in an enterprise, you're thinking, well, what do you mean if the link goes down? If the link goes down, it goes down. No, it doesn't. Because think about this. Do you think that Amazon is just sitting there with one link coming into Amazon to handle all the traffic? They have multiple redundant links. So does Microsoft. So does Google. So does Meta. And all its affiliates. They all have to have that, so that even if a link goes down, or maybe 2 links or 3 links goes down, they still have connectivity. They need to remain connected. They need to continue to transact. What about the equipment failure? Well, exactly the same thing. Most of you, if you're working in enterprise, you've gone into a server room and you look over there, they have multiple servers. Sometimes they'll have multiple switches. The switches are redundant. They're set up in a stack to offer resiliency and higher performance. So even if one of those goes down, you still have the ability to continue working. Oftentimes in really high quality equipment, you'll see they even have multiple power supplies, 2, 3, 4 power supplies for one device. So if it fails, well, if one power supply fails, it doesn't mean a failure, right? But networks need to stay up all the time. The other thing they need to do is they need to reliably deliver applications. They need to reliably deliver applications. Now, what applications are they talking about? It could be anything. If you're working in a HR department, it could be your SAP system, right? It could be an Oracle database that underpins all your product catalogs. It underpins all of that stuff. It could be anything. But ultimately, your network needs, for networks to change and grow and be successful, there has to be reliability. Now, by having a network stay up all the time, and by having a network that is reliable, you end up with resiliency and productivity, right? Think about that. If it stays up all the time, there's resiliency. And if it is reliable, you get productivity. So those 2 little pieces are associated with the first 2. What about security, right? Networks need to be secure. It should protect the data at what we call at rest, right? It should protect the data at rest, meaning that the data is in storage. So it needs to protect the data at rest. In situ, right? In situ means where it's being processed, when it's being processed, and in transit, when it's being transmitted between hosts. Think about a transaction on your phone. When you do a transaction on your phone and you put your fingerprint, whatever, to do it, that data is going to be stored. It needs to be stored securely here. When it's processing at the bank, whatever it is, it needs to be in situ, and in transit, when it gets transmitted there. It's got to be secure end to end. It has to be. When you have that, then you have manageability and security. And then, of course, it needs to be easy to modify and scale. It needs to be easy to modify and easy to scale. Now, that's really important, okay? You can't build networks. You can't think of building networks that are closed and don't expect. It doesn't make sense. You can say, well, my company is really small. I don't have any ideas to plan to grow. Well, you can't think like that. That's locking yourself into a box. When you plan these types of networks, you have to think, how do we grow? We have to build a network with the ability to grow, right? It has to be able to scale. Extreme Networks recently bought the business of Ipanema, an SD-WAN company, right? Imagine if our network didn't have the ability to scale up. You have all these new employees coming in from France, but like, oh, sorry, no, we're in the US, come on. You got to build a network with the ability to scale up, right? And it's also got to be easy. You can't be in a situation where you build networks and just the ability to scale up means you need 6 months work and 12 engineers to do that. It's like, that's not going to happen. But if you have that, if it's easy to modify and easy to scale, and then that gives you the benefit of troubleshooting, easy to troubleshoot. Listen, when I ran my own business in South Africa, trust me, I've worked on some networks that were, just horrendous, poorly done, designed, poorly documented, nightmare, spider webs gone crazy. If something goes wrong, it is so difficult to troubleshoot. A good network is not difficult to troubleshoot. And if you do that, if it's easy to modify and to troubleshoot, you get the benefit of scalable, having a scalable and easy network to run and manage. So the network should be all of those things. Networks, both wired and wireless, enable businesses to grow, enable business outcomes. What is the business that you work for? What is their objective? What are they trying to do? Are you trying to be the best at something? These are the reasons why we build these large networks. These are the reasons why we talk about resiliency and scalability and ease of use and the ability to grow. Just look at all of these logos on here. Just look at all of those. You have probably touched most of these at some point or other, right? You've probably touched most of it. If you live in London, trust me, you're on video surveillance, right? That's just, you can't walk anywhere without a security camera, getting you on security camera. On the underground, up ground, below, you've been touched by that. Zoom? Come on, who hasn't been using Zoom in the last year? I mean, the whole planet, the entire planet is. Think about gaming. There must be tons of gamers on here. Ultimately, building scalable and massive networks, wireless or wired, is actually all about you and me. You and me. That's what it's all about. Let's take a 1-minute break. You know that this is now tradition in Academy where we stop for a minute. Let's do it 1 minute, 20 seconds for those of you whose watch is saying, you get up, you got to get up and move around. We'll have a countdown on the screen. Last year we had all sorts of funny things happening during that 1 minute. And we thought about it and we thought, no, that's not a good idea because then people don't get up. They want to watch what's going on. So this year, not the other courses, not last year, other courses we had that. So this on course 4, we'll just have a countdown clock. We might have a little alarm that will ping 5 seconds before just go off, telling you, hey, we're about to restart. So let's take 1 minute 20 seconds starting now. Okay, welcome back. Right, so when we enable users, we enable business outcomes, just like you saw with all those logos in the previous slide. Coursera, a great resource for you to go and learn. When we enable users to connect easily, securely to those types of networks, we enable business outcomes. We enable that particular student to tell others, hey, that was great experience. This worked well, that worked well. Coursera grows their business, more people, more courses, more education. That's the type of stuff, right? So let's talk about how businesses think about these things. Businesses think about productivity, okay? Your bosses, if you're a CEO or whatever it is, this is your bread and butter, right? It's always an objective to increase productivity. How do we increase productivity? How do we make our business, more productive? How can we do the same amount of work with less resources? Can we have one person instead of two changing passwords, for people who forget their passwords? Can we automate that? Because if we can reduce the cost to the company. We can increase our profits. Now, don't look at that and think, oh, that's all just greed and greed and greed. No, if you work for a company, you also like to have a little bit of dosh in your pocket at the end of the year, don't you? You always like to have your paycheck growing up, steadily, not going backwards. That's the kind of thing, right? Companies look for productivity, things that increase productivity, engagement. Companies that sell online, companies that have like Meta and others that have social media platforms, they want to engage with you, right? They want to connect. They want to connect with you. Governance. You also need these things of governance. Governance has become a really big deal in the last year and a half. Governments are starting to go after big companies who've basically done whatever they wanted, and people are pushing back and saying, no. There's got to be a form of governance. Govern yourself, govern your own structure. You'll see that if you work for an enterprise, you can't just as an IT manager do anything you want. There has to be levels of governance. But having these three things in companies, they have these three overarching outcomes that they're looking for: productivity, engagement, and governance. How do you get them? Well, when we're talking about networks, this triangle kind of nails it quite well. Remember, we said it's got to be easy, it has to be secure, and of course it has to be efficient. It's got to be efficient. It can't be complex to do. But look at this: when you have when access to a network is really easy and the network is efficient, the business drives productivity. Okay. The business drives productivity. In other words, when those two elements are in place, the end result of those things are productivity. The productivity of the company, of the people there, has to go up. Think about it. If it's difficult to get onto a network, if it's difficult to be able to do the stuff, to actually get started and going, it doesn't drive productivity. Flexibility as well, right? What about when a business is secure and efficient? So it's secure. You know that you can trust it. When you connect, well, it's great. It's secure, like connecting to a bank. Hopefully it's secure. And when it's efficient, well, you get the governance, right? The governance, the data is governed because it is secure, right? It's secure and it's stored efficiently. It's managed, all of that. You get visibility, manageability. And that last piece up at the top, when access is easy to a network and secure, then it drives the business, drives collaboration, drives simplicity, and you get that collaboration that people are looking for. So productivity, engagement, collaboration, governance, those three things, those three elements, that's how you translate business outcomes into a network design. Business outcomes, the people in suits, business outcomes, that's what they're looking for. How does IT enable it? How do networks enable it? By these three, by these systems over here. So, market drivers. We know that the market drives a lot of things, right? Markets drive technology advancement, market drives all of these things. But what are the drivers for building mission critical wireless, wired or wireless networks? What are the drivers? Well, we use this term SMAC, right? SMAC, which means social, mobile, analytics, and cloud. Social, mobile, analytics, and cloud, SMAC. Almost every transaction and interaction that we have today is underpinned by the network. It's become so ubiquitous that I know that's a big word. It's become so common that we don't even kind of think about it today. Do you ever think to yourself when you open a tap of water, do you ever think water? Do you ever think, what is behind that? How does the water get to you? It's like, we don't really, right? Unless it stops working, then suddenly we realize everything that's involved. But it kind of is just there, right? And that's what networks are. They are ubiquitous. They are all over, and they underpin absolutely everything. Think about the social side of this. Being constantly connected. I know there's many of you here and they're like, oh, I wish I could just switch off, and just like, you can switch off your phone. Well, your computer, maybe not so much, but, get rid of your phone. You don't need it anymore if you want to be switched off. But if you don't want to be connected to anybody or anything, or don't use any social media platforms at all. But we have a need to be in touch. I mean, my mum lives in South Africa. If I wrote her a letter, knowing the South African Postal Service, it's going to take, if I sent her a letter now for Christmas, wishing her a happy Christmas, it could take 3, 4, 5 weeks, maybe. And then it might get to her. There's a chance that it will get to her before Christmas. But if I connect to her using FaceTime, I connect to her, it's, almost instant. I just press a button and she's there. And we use the social media platforms to be able to communicate. Companies that provide entertainment, TikTok, for example, Twitter, Meta, Instagram, Snapchat. These are new businesses that have been created on top of networks. Ultimately, that's what it is. The fact that we have these networks, massive scalable networks, have enabled not just dozens, but thousands of businesses selling and engaging in all types of online connectivity to thrive, to grow, to create employment. And in some cases, they smell a little bit bad, right? Because of the governance that is not really good. Social, mobile technologies, right? The iPhone was revolutionary, but before the iPhone, I used to be a massive Nokia fan. I ended up working for Nokia, but, they had these phones and we used to use the phones to send text messages to each other. It's difficult. When I say to my kids today, do you know that there was a time when we used to pay for text messages? We really used to pay. So comes Christmas, you're sending Christmas greetings to 300 friends. You get a nice fat bill at the end of Christmas. You send with all the people that you sent Christmas greetings to and New Year people listed in the statement that would go on for 20 pages. And you were charged in South Africa, I don't know, 30 cents or 40 cents per SMS, per text message. Some of you on here put it on your chat, but, what that's, tell that to a teenager today. They're like, what? You had to pay for that? Yeah, we paid for text messages. It's crazy, right? Today, we still, in many countries around the world, we still pay for data. They sell you data like, 3 gigs, 5 gigs, 10 gigs. The other day, I got a phone for one of my family members and it's like, oh, you get a 5 gig package. Okay. But in quite a lot of countries, like Scandinavian countries, there's no limits anymore. It's like unlimited data. Who wants limited data? Like it's unlimited and it's really cheap, right? So mobile has driven the needs for massive networks, and with that, whole new business models get created. I heard of a story of a farmer or farming system that's been developed I don't know if it was developed in South Africa or not, but you got large farms. You got IoT devices, you got networks running over there, and they have these pumps, that you can send a text message to a pump sitting, 5 kilometers away, and suddenly it opens up and starts the irrigation system. And when you finish, half an hour later, you send I suppose it's all automated today. You send a text message to that pump, and boom, it switches off, and another one comes on. I mean, those are completely new business models that have been developed as a result of trying to get business outcomes of these new things that business has enabled. And what's still to come? What is still to come? Technology. It really isn't the technology. Really isn't the what's holding back anymore. It's imagination. That's the limiting factor now, is imagination. Analytics. Can you believe that maybe 20 years ago, maybe 25 years ago, Google didn't exist, right? There were times when people wanted to search for stuff, and no one stored log files. No one analyzed those requests that were coming through from users. It was just data that was thrown away. And then Google came along and said, wow, look at the amount of information, that can be gathered in this request, that somebody is asking for something to search for. Look at that amount of data. Wow, how powerful is that? And the world changed. The world changed just on that. So today, analytics, data that comes off networking, today it might just be data, but somebody is going to come along and say, wow, I've got so much data. I can mine that data. I can learn from that data. I can improve business outcomes. I can improve performance by analyzing this data. All of this underpinned by networking, large networks. And then cloud. Well, the network is the only connectivity route to the cloud. How do you get to the cloud? Through the networks. And the cloud, the explosion of cloud computing is all underpinned by networks. So what are the market drivers? The market drivers that force us to start building mission critical networks are all of these: social, mobile, analytics, and cloud. And it's not only those. There's other little pieces as well, like software-defined networking, IoT. We live in cities to a large extent, other than maybe the Middle East and maybe Singapore, that are really old and they are not smart. But more and more IoT devices are starting to fill up those opportunities. IoT for pollution measurement, for temperature measurement, for all sorts of stuff. Smart cities, sensors on your traffic lights. Why have a dumb traffic light that's told, you go red for 30 seconds, green for 30 seconds, yellow for 20 seconds, and that's all you do for the rest of it? Why not have smart traffic lights, right? That say, well, I can look around and I can see that there's no traffic, so I'll just keep this one because this is the main route. I'll keep that green until I see traffic, and then I react to that. So adaptive and smart information gathered from IoT devices. All of these things are driving on a massive scale networking. But all of these always link to a business framework, to priorities, to that governance, productivity. That's what we always talking about over here. So WIFM, WIFM stands for what's in it for me. Ask yourself that question. Okay, so I've learned all about this, and I was going on and on about all this stuff, but ultimately, what's in it for me? How do I make ching from this? How do I grow? It's great for you to talk about it, but how do I, as a network designer, as a network architect, How do I design? How do I do this? How do I build scalable and mission critical networks? Well, how do you deliver exceptional user experience? You need to think about that user experience. I guarantee you, a couple of weeks ago, Meta was down for quite a while. I think it was still called Facebook or whatever. They were down for quite a while. And it created a problem, right? I mean, immediately social media was full up. Hey, it's down, it's down, it's down. And people were losing money. Not just Meta, but lots of other people were losing money around that. So how do I deliver? If that was continual, if they had that type of problem, what do you think would happen? People would move to other platforms. So Meta has to provide exceptional user experience. How do you improve security? These are questions you need to ask yourself. How does all of this come together? How do all these pieces come together? Well, performance, mission critical, policy, cloud, total cost of ownership. These are all the bubbles, and a lot of these we will cover in this course. All of that ultimately needs to be under an umbrella of simplicity and ease to manage. Ultimately, the question we need to ask when we've gone through this module is, how do I build a scalable mission-critical network now that I start to understand that it's not just about having the latest switch and the best this and the best that? Why? Why is it? Why do I need to do those things? Why do I need to have those pieces in place? Because all of those pieces drive business outcomes. And that's what it's about. Building for business outcomes. Building so that businesses can grow, can employ more, can make more money, because money makes the world go round. As a network engineer, as somebody who's thinking about becoming a network engineer, as somebody who wants to be a network engineer, it's not just about technology. It's about business outcomes. I'll see you on the other side of this.
Extreme has a vision for your new world. The infinite enterprise. It's not how the world has operated in the past, or will again, but where the world is going. You know your business needs to adapt for the new world of the infinite enterprise. Your business can lead from anywhere. Our world today is built around centers, institutions, locations. But we don't build systems for hospitals, stadiums, or schools. We build for the people who use them. We build them for people everywhere. We know you need to understand your customers more than ever. Your customers today are infinitely distributed. We want you to reach them where they are and let them connect with you the way they want to. We want your business to work at scale. Your customers' needs are infinite. Your business can be too. The infinite enterprise, where the world is going. Are you ready?
Welcome back. So let's get into the why. We kind of now have understood about companies, their requirements for business outcomes, etc., etc. So let's look at some use cases. We'll go through some use cases. There's just 2 or 3 slides before we jump into use cases. But once again, the learning objectives over here are accelerating change. We're going to be looking at the use case of intelligent buildings. We're going to be looking at healthcare, retail, large public venues. Then we'll look at esports as well. Okay, let's go in. We've looked at that. All right. Knowing that the network is really important and more important than ever. We need to accelerate change. Now, one of the issues that a lot of companies face, and possibly the companies that you work for, perhaps companies that you manage, or companies that your own business. Maybe it's an older company. Maybe you've been working for a company that's been doing the same thing the same way for the last 30, 40, 50 years. You're going to be in trouble, right? You're going to be in trouble. I worked for a luxury company at one stage, and they had a lot of very old businesses, very traditional, businesses. But those businesses have survived because they kept alive their traditions, but they modernized their technology. They modernized their processes. They went from just having a person-to-person contact to now making a person-to-digital contact, right? Being able to sell online, to be able to meet customers online. So a lot of older businesses feel threatened, by digital. But gradually, you as an engineer, you as a consultant, you as a legacy type of business, you don't have to throw all the stuff away, your history away. You have to modify it. You have to think about how do you go from what we have now to a digital transformation. This is what the term digital transformation is: moving manual processes into a digital age. And with that, of course, there comes risks and all sorts of things. But if you don't change, if you don't grow, you die. And so businesses need to understand, how do I move this platform of mine? How do I move this platform of mine and take advantage of everything that the networks are able to provide for me? Let's take a company that all of you, I'm sure, watching would be familiar with. Let's take a company like Netflix, right? I mean, I hate Netflix and I love it at the same time, and I can't really explain that. I see a TV series and I like, Isaac, don't watch. And then, like 15 hours later, my eyes are burning and I'm like, okay, I finished watching that series and now I can't sleep and I can't wake up. It's horrible. They're really successful. They are really, really successful. And they are built on networks, right? Without a network, Netflix doesn't exist. They used to be called something else before networks came around. They used to send you, videos, in the post. Networks enable that business. But even a business like that, that's so on the edge, that is so network dependent, they've thought about social. They've thought about mobility. They've thought about all of these things. And you can log into your Facebook. Once you're in Netflix, you can log into your Facebook account through an API. And then you can watch content and you can rate that online. Hey, just on your Facebook account, your Meta account. Oh, absolutely love this. 5 stars, great TV series, whatever it is. And now you are advertising for them. You and the social influence that you have is affecting their business. Now other people look and say, oh, I need to watch that series as well. More customers, bigger network, more money to come in. And so if they need to do it, if they feel the need to be able to do that, imagine what would that do for the business that you work in? Right? Maybe if you're in a hospital, oh, our hospitals are really great. More sick people come to our hospital. I don't know. I'm not too sure. There's so many use cases. But you can see how being connected into networks, if you think carefully, the benefits that these things can bring into your business. Now, some of these you would have seen if you attended one of the previous courses in Academy, you would have seen this. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time, but we covered the principles of building a smart network, of smart approach to building networks previously in another course. And these were two obvious ones that popped out. There's 5 in total. I'm not going to spend a lot of time because we've already kind of spoken about security, right? If you don't have a secure network, just don't go online, right? It's just too dangerous for you to go online. So security, fundamental to everything. Redundancy, we've already spoken about that, how redundancy affects, network equipment, links, blah, 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 all of those things. Flexibility, we've covered that. We didn't cover cost, in the first module. We did cover it in the other one, but cost is really important, right? No one has a blank check and say, look, build a network, here's as much money as you want. In South Africa once, I had a customer who said to me, I want my network to be totally secure, completely and totally secure. And I said to them, how much money have you got? And he looked at me, the CEO looked at me and he said, like, what do you mean? I said, well, security is a matter of many different things, but one of them is money. How much money do you want to invest in security? I mean, do you want to absolutely go crazy and get the most sophisticated, gear available to you? If you do, this is how much it's going to cost you. Like, no. Okay, no, that's crazy. Exactly. So it's always kind of a balance, right? Cost is important, and you need to work within the parameters of cost and buy the best that you can afford. That's always my mantra. Buy the best that you can afford. If you can't afford it, don't buy it, bottom line. But manageability, these are the principles. So let's go to the first of the use cases that we're just going to cover. And in this here, this is going to be a little bit challenging to do, but I need you guys that are watching this to engage. Unfortunately, this is not going to work so well if you are watching this on demand. Okay. So this is going to work better just for the people that are watching this now, that are watching this live stream now, because you can collaborate over here on the left. I think it's here. On the chat. So I'm telling you what I'm going to do. Do you see these purple kind of like circles down the side over there? I want you just to, if you have a pen and paper or whatever, just take the first letter or the first 2 letters of all of these. So security, SE, redundancy, RE, scalability, SC, cost, CO, and management, MA. Because what I'm going to ask you as we go through these use cases, I think there's 4 something. I'm going to ask you to do some homework for me, live homework for me. And that is, I'm going to ask you to sort these out. I'm going to talk a little bit about them, and then I'll give you a minute or so, and you're going to list them in what you think is the most important prioritization. That's what you're going to do. An order, a prioritization order for how you approach this from a design side. So just get ready. I need you guys to interact. Hopefully we will be able to capture all of that. And before the end of the episode today, we'll be able to give you some, results or maybe not. I don't know. Just depends how many people actually answer this. Intelligent buildings use case. Before I go into all of these little things, I like the term intelligent building, just like I like the term, sorry, let me just go and check here. Okay. Just like I like the term intelligent cities. I like the concept of what that means, because at the moment, our cities on the most part, our buildings on the most part are not very intelligent, and there's huge benefits to making them intelligent. So let me tell you a little bit of something that always frustrated me when I lived in South Africa. I lived probably about half an hour from the main international airport in Johannesburg and OR Tambo International. And it always frustrated me when I got to the parking, right? I mean, I know that they've upgraded and stuff, but it always frustrated me that you'd get to the parking at the airport, I know. The cost in the UK for airports is like, oh my word. I think sometimes the parking costs more than the ticket to fly somewhere in the world. But you'd get to the parking garage, you arrive 2 hours or whatever before, and then you drive around, and you go up a floor and another floor and another floor and another floor. And then you come down, and then, you finally get a place and somebody has parked badly or whatever it is. I always thought, this is so backward. This is the most inefficient building in the world, has got to be a parking garage. And then, of course, South Africa might be in Africa, but that doesn't mean it's not sophisticated. They upgraded the systems at these airport, and they started to put these green and red lights. Which then, when I came to the UK, I saw Heathrow also started to install them, which was pretty good, right? So you come in, and then you look for the red or the green lights, and you see a green light, and off you drive. And as you get there, there's another car pulling in. It's like, oh, where do I go? And you got to kind of think it's an improvement on what they had before. But how cool would it be, if you had a mobile app, for example, where you could book your time slot and you pay for your time slot before you even get to the parking garage. And so I don't know how they would stop you from, parking, in there. Maybe they set off an alarm or whatever, but you want to go to the airport, you want to arrive there between, say, 10:30 and 11 o'clock in the morning, more or less. You go online and you book a spot, and it says to you, okay, on the 3rd floor, section D, park slot 32. Right? That would be really cool. And maybe when you've booked it and paid for it, at that time, maybe there's a light, maybe there's an alarm that starts flashing or whatever on you, saying, that this parking bay is reserved. You can't use this parking bay. So you arrive there. As you arrive, it says to you, oh, Mr. Diablo, thank you very much for here. Please, go up to 3rd floor, turn left, first left, and you'll see the parking bay number 52 in front of you, whatever. And off you drive, whatever. As you get there, it takes your number plate, light turns green, thank you very much, or any other color, amber, whatever. Bam. And you don't have to drive around. You don't have to worry. It's all organized. How cool would that be? And how cool would it be when you finish doing what you need to do? You come out, you get your ticket, and, you put your ticket in the machine. And maybe when you put your ticket, instead of just taking money, it prints the path from where you are to the car. I don't know. There must be better ways to do these types of things and make these systems more efficient. Now, that's a very basic example that I'm giving. But in buildings where people work, where there are all sorts of things going on. Networking enables all sorts of things like heating and air conditioning, the control. Most buildings today that are built today already have these in there, heating and air conditioning. Instead of just having it on all day, all night, no. When people leave, lighting automatically goes down. When people are there, detects activity, lighting comes back up. All of that saves power, saves energy, protects the environment, security, buildings. I mean, today, to get into a building without security is pretty tough, right? But they're underpinned by networks. Lighting, like we've said, parking control, emergency alerts, structural integrity, sensors on the building to be able to, to notify you if there's an earthquake, a tremor, if something is happening. These things are important. Meeting room management, right? That's always been a headache for companies, meeting rooms. All of these networks underpin all of these. Hot desks, huddle spaces, visitor management. Think about all of these things that enable smart buildings. Some of you already probably work in smart buildings. I worked in a smart building where they had electronic blinds. And so it was just glass, absolute glass all the way around, beautiful views in Geneva. But when the sun would come in through those windows, it would be really difficult on a computer screen. And when the sun came in, well, the blinds, reacted to that, or the windows reacted to that. And automatically some blinds came down, and then, they blocked out the sun while still letting in a lot of light. All of that stuff is built on top of networks. Networking does all of those things and enable. So what I want you to do now is on this slide, we can't discuss because we're not live with you in front of us in a classroom, only live online. But what you can do is take a look at those 5 circles: security, redundancy, scalability. If you were designing a network for a intelligent building, if you were asked to do that, look at those 5 things and what would you say? What order would you put them in if you were the network architect? I'll give you a minute to go through that, okay? I'll give you 1 minute starting now. Go for it. And you can just write it as SE, SC, CO, or whatever you think is the area of prioritization that you would implement if you were doing that. Okay, I'll give you another 10 seconds. Okay. Lots of answers, lots of combinations. There's no right or wrong. It's just a question. What would you do? How would you prioritize this? Let's go to the next use case. The next use case that we're going to talk about is healthcare. Healthcare. Now, we got to think a little bit over here. The US has a very private ownership-based hospital approach to healthcare, and the rest of the world is quite different. In not everyone in the world, but a lot of the.
I'm not sure I understand.
A lot of the world has a different approach. Like in the UK, we have NHS, right? Healthcare is basically free for everybody. But being free or not, being private or state healthcare, in healthcare, there's a lot of things that are important where networking plays a fundamental role. Just think about those expensive machines on wheels that they need to move around, right? Those things cost sometimes millions of dollars for one of these big fancy machines that do whatever they do. I don't even know what all of these machines do. Those things, you need to be able to track them. Where are those machines? If I need one of those machines, do I have an application that can tell me on the network, hey, I detected that device. The last place I saw that device was in this room or in that ward. That would be really cool. Those types of things are underpinned by strong networks. Directions, within the hospitals. Some hospitals are really, really massive. Here in Cambridge, we got one called Addenbrooke's, and you look at it and it's like, it just looks like a airport building site. There's always huge amount of building going on there. And you go in and it's like, where on earth do I actually go? Networking and science to help you, beacons to help you to get where you want to go. That would be so awesome, right? Make it easy. Make it easy for people with disabilities, on wheelchairs to get from place to place because an app takes you, and all of that underpinned by networks. Biowearables, food sensors, right? Detecting when the food is off or on, or still okay to be used. Workflow design. Equipment monitoring, elderly monitoring at home. A lot of people, monitoring elderly stay at home. How can you monitor them? Do you use cameras? Do you use robots? In Japan, they use a lot of robots for the elderly. Things like health bracelets or watches that monitor your health. All of those things underpinned by networks. But if you that are watching this right now were designing for healthcare, for a hospital, for example, look at those 5 options over there. If you were to prioritize them from most important to least important, not when I say least that it's not important, but just, what would be the first things in order of prioritization that you would set up as a network designer, network architect, network engineer? What would they be? So please, same as last time, go and list these. I'll give you 1 minute. It's 21:20. So we'll go to 22:20. Go for it. Put it in the chat. Seems a lot of you put security first. Ten seconds. Okay. Thank you for that. It's good to see the interaction. Let's move on to the next use case. Retail, right? Retail, your local supermarket, your local, greengrocer, or whatever it might be, big chains, whatever that might be. If you think about how they have changed, the other day I have a little, up the road from where I live, there's a little Tesco, which is like a supermarket for those who don't live in the UK. They have big ones, and then they have little regional, local ones in the local villages, which are quite small. And I was at the till point, and I just looked at the device, and I saw that the device, had an Ethernet cable on the back of them. I thought, wow, how that's changed. When I worked, when my dad had his own business, we had these tills, and there was no connectivity at all in the tills. If you wanted to do a stock take, when the business closed, you went and you counted how many tins of fish, how many loaves of bread. You wrote it all on the back of a cigarette pack, and you'd write it all down, and then you'd go and, place the order for stuff. That's how, I grew up like that. That's how we did it. Today, that's ridiculous. You don't do that anymore. Nowadays, you just, plug it into the Ethernet. That goes into the cloud. That goes to a retail system somewhere. And when you buy, that cereal box, or where you buy that loaf of bread, or whatever it is that you do, somewhere in the cloud somewhere, Tesco knows they've sold a loaf of bread, right? And when it gets to such and such a level, it automatically triggers an order at the baker for the next day for X amount of this, or X amount of milk, or tubs of yogurt, or whatever it is. Digital shelf stores. I saw this in Singapore, where you have these pharmacies, for example, and they have hundreds of products on their shelves, and every product has a little digital price list on it, not a handwritten price list or anything like that, but actual digital. So the storekeeper inside, when he needs to change a price, he just says, for this tag, change it, boom, and it automatically reflects on the shelf in real time. It's fantastic. You don't have to, where's the price? There's no price. There's only a barcode. Oh, frustrating. It's just amazing. All of that underpinned by networking technology. Some of it wireless, some of it wired, but all of that, it's just amazing to see where they are going to do it. Inventory theft, all of those types of things, right? You walk into a store, they can identify, they ask you, they offer you free wireless, you get on, they can say, okay, this guy is an iPhone user, let me charge him more. Or that guy is Android user, like, oh, he's pretty chill. All of those. So let's do the same experiment for this, right? Give you 1 minute. If you were designing a network for the retail use industry, how would you prioritize that? Go. it seems that that security is going to be tops, or I think security is tops on all of them so far. Thank you for participating. It's good. Ten seconds. All right, let's move on to the next use case. Two more use cases. The second last one. Let's look at large public venues. You guys might have seen, certainly on LinkedIn, and if you're in America, specifically if you're in America, you would have seen, if you're into sports, NASCAR, the NFL, the basketball league, baseball league, you would have seen a lot of Extreme Networks, branding and signage. Not only do we, have that sponsorship with these stadiums. I think I call it sponsorship. We build the wireless networks inside those venues, like the Super Bowl, for example. So we build wireless networks inside there. So we increase the fan experience. Fans are there. They all have their mobile phones. They're all watching the game, but they're also all filming it and taking photos and putting that on social media. That's enormous amount of traffic, enormous amount of networking design and approach and equipment, right? To be able to handle massive loads of people in a very tight space and enclosed space, if you want to think about it like that. What are the things that happen in these types of venues? Digital ticketing. The days of having paper tickets, those are like over, right? Today you take your mobile phone, you go to, if you're on Apple, you go to the wallet and you have your ticket over there, you get in, you just scan the QR code, boom, and you're straight in because it knows who you are. It knows that you've bought it already. Movie theaters already do kind of the same thing, right? Contactless payments. You need to purchase something, you want to buy a hot dog or whatever, boom, contactless payments. To me, it's now so natural. When I pay for stuff, I just put my watch on the little device, boom, and it scans it, and thank you very much. I still get people looking at me like, wow, that is so cool. It's like, yes, that's completely normal. Traffic information, right? Traffic information that you could get fans as to what the traffic is like right now. How long could you expect before you can get into into a parking spot at the large venue? Public transportation information, friends meet up, like, hey, where are you? I'm over here. I'll send you my location. Boom, I send you location, and then we meet up. I mean, there's so many areas within large public venues that are absolutely ripe for wireless connectivity. It's what you can imagine. Nowadays, it's just what you can imagine. Replay access. It's really cool to watch a game, right, live. You're watching the game, but somebody comes past, hey, would you like some popcorn? You turn around and they've scored. It's like, yes, okay, you can watch it on the big screen, but now you could watch it on your mobile as well. Just watch it over there and watch it again. Oh, that's so cool. Different angles, different viewpoints. Come on. Let's do this one. This is the last one that we're going to do, where I'm going to ask you to do some homework. So give you 60 seconds again. How would you, would security still be your number one priority in a case like this? If you were designing for large venues, would security be there? I'll be interested to see. I think it will, but go for it. Hey, Rowan, I just realized I should have asked people, to just put either, large public venue LPV in front of their answer, because some of these will run over, but doesn't matter. Let's get people to engage. Right. Cool. Thank you. Thank you for participating. That's really cool. Let's take a 1-minute break. We've been going for 30 minutes. Let's take a 1-minute break, and then we'll come back and we'll look a little bit at esports again as a use case, but we're not going to go through this. We're just going to talk through a couple of things. So 1 minute, if you can start the countdown clock. Okay, welcome back. So about half an hour to go, 25 minutes to go, and then we'll be finished for today. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for attending and watching. People have a lot of patience. We've one of the things that we learned from previous courses that we did is sometimes we ran over time. And this year, on this course, we decided no, we'd rather finish early than run over time. We have to respect people's time. So I do appreciate you watching, staying online. If you have learned stuff, that's really great. Give us a thumbs up. You guys know already that Extreme Academy is on LinkedIn. That's our kind of main media social media platform that we use. And Extreme Networks has given Extreme Academy its own account. So you'll find stuff there about Academy that you won't find on the main account. So if you don't follow us on the Extreme Academy LinkedIn account, please do so. You don't have to do it now. Do it afterwards, but just please make a note. Go and follow us there so that, we want to try. We're on about, 500, 600, somewhere, followers on there. We kind of want to get to 100,000. So we're about 99,500 away from getting to 100,000 followers on LinkedIn. But, help us out. Come on, go and give us a follower. Tell your mother, your sister, your brother, your cousin, your 2 sisters and aunties, from all over the world to go and follow us as well. We want to increase that following, but that's our main platform. That's our main platform of choice. That we'd be really grateful if you guys could help us out over there. One of the other things I need to say before we carry on in here, and I've already spoken a little bit about the Discord, but we don't have any female moderators on Discord, and that kind of feels wrong, right? It's like, yeah, we have no issue. We'd love everybody, diversity for men and women to be, to obviously we know that we have men and women who watch Extreme Academy. But it would be really nice if the moderators were not only men. Why don't we have women moderators on Discord? Come on. If you're into IT and if you like Extreme Academy, and you've used Discord before, even if you haven't, but you'd like to be involved in the community and building community, then go on. Claire, can you just put up the QR code again for Discord? Yeah, just the QR code. Don't worry about just the QR code. Scan that on your phones, and then sign up. Not now, afterwards. Go and sign up, and then just reach out. On there, you can look for myself, Morpheus, on there, or you can look at some of the other moderators, like Red Miles, for example. Just reach out to them, make contact with them, and say that you have an interest in moderating on our Discord, and we'll be happy to talk to you. By the way, if our moderators suggest you as a person, you get a personal interview with me, right? How good is that? Also, feel free to follow Rowan's account on Extreme Academy. Rowan's account on LinkedIn, or my account on LinkedIn, or Claire's or Bethany's. Will be really cool, and we can keep in touch. I've been so encouraged by so many messages that I've got from the people who watch Extreme Academy, and that for a teacher is really, really fantastic. Okay, let's go and knock this off now. Right, where are we going? And we going over. Okay. Esports in education. We looked at those particular use cases. Esports in education. Again, what I'm going to be talking about now is probably quite different in the US as opposed to the rest of the world. I think in the US, they just do things differently there, right? And in school, specifically in education, it's quite different. So esports is something that is growing a lot now. Esports is not just growing in the US, it's growing around the world. I mean, I've seen videos with stadiums, with people watching gamers. I mean, it's mind blowing to actually see. But in schools, in educational institutions like universities in the US, that is really taking off a lot. And when I first started looking at that, I thought, gee, that's such a waste of time. Students, instead of studying, are going to be playing, esports, and that's going to be taking them away. But as I started to think about it, it's like, you know what? I think that's actually much more good than what it is negative, right? So in the US, obviously, if you got a good, strong esports, center within your university, it's easier to attract good quality talent, and recruit good quality talent to come to the university because of that. Because a lot of people, even people watching this, are gamers and very involved. And if they know that, hey, the university has got a fantastic network, they've got excellent, esports team and stuff like that, that's fantastic. But the one thing that kind of really stood out to me when I first saw this esports, it kind of hit me. You know what? Esports, one of the things about esports that makes it so powerful is this one point over here underneath time management, kind of halfway down. It says inclusion amongst a diverse student body. Now, inclusion often is about, boy or girl or black or white or something like that. But there's something else that appeals to me on this that kind of really, triggered, my thought. My youngest son has, appears on the autistic spectrum. And so he's kind of, he's not, very reserved. He does talk to other kids, but there's a lot of kids who have difficulty. They feel, socially isolated, maybe because of autism or some other difficulty that they have. And so they retract from the rest of the school, from the rest of the student body. They're much more reserved. But gaming is an incredible equalizer because gaming removes barriers, right? I don't care if you're black or white, or pink or green, if you're male or female, or anything in between. I don't care if you have autism or you don't. I don't really care. If you can game, then you're my mate. Then you're on my team. And I look beyond those things because all that matters to me is that when you game, that you're really good at what you do. And so esports to me is an incredible opportunity to just break down barriers at schools, right? Because it doesn't really matter what race or tribe or anything you are from. What matters is your ability to play the game and be successful at the game. And I include you then because you're so good in that. Then it becomes real teamwork, becomes really powerful. So I changed my thinking completely around esports. But esports in colleges, in university, has a lot of a lot of great benefits. It's an engaging platform. It allows, competition, peer pressure, to play against others, to beat others, to work together in teams to do things. Good for the community as well. Of course, game selection is always, an important thing, but it also creates and opens up new business models, something we spoke about in the first session, new business models, new partnerships between schools and companies that, want to put in hardware and networks and stuff like that. It opens up a whole new world of opportunities. Casual gaming, esports, education gaming, enterprise arenas. I mean, business management. Esports business management is now a thing. It's actually a thing, managing esports, technology and IT internships. If you think about the new careers that esports actually enables, you need people who understand sound. You need people who understand networks. You need people who understand fixing computers. You need so many new skills, people who commentate. I mean, have you heard these guys commentate on gaming? It just opens up new skills. There's so much of this now that it just opens it up completely to a whole range of new skills and employment opportunities that people never had before. Before 20 years ago, skating was the thing, and you could become, a professional skater and make a career out of that. People still do. It's fantastic. But esports is now kind of the same thing. And it's not just about the gamer. It's about all the technology that goes around that. Just think about gaming, right? You have gamers that are fantastic at specific games. They're really brilliant at what they do. But no matter how brilliant you are at what you do, if you're in a network game and you have a lot of lag, you have jitter, you have something like that, you're in trouble, right? So quick and decisive player reactions only really work well when you have a fantastic network that has minimal delay, minimal lags, minimal jitter. That's when it really works. So if you think about an important element in esports, and this is, I'm just relating, something we spoke about use cases, but I'm just underlying the usefulness and how important the network is. We looked at intelligent buildings and healthcare and all of those things, and within those, we spoke about all the things that are important that can be done within that. But here again, it's the network is the playing field, right? Esports is the network, is the actual playing field. And so if you think about things like round trip time, RTT, the amount of time it takes a signal to be sent, plus the amount of time it takes for an acknowledgement. Remember, TCP/IP is an acknowledgement platform. You send a packet and that packet is acknowledged. You get the acknowledgement. You send the next packet that is acknowledged. Right? That's how we can talk about the reliability. If you're gaming, you need that reliability to be absolutely fantastic. So the time it takes to send the signal and for the acknowledgement to be received. This time delay includes the propagation times for the path between these two communication endpoints, right? Really, really important. On the top over there, you see, for example, the use of CDNs. Without a CDN, computing is centralized. Everything comes down to a single point. When you have a CDN, a distributed point, you can see that the lags and everything are going to be a lot less because you don't have to travel as far. And that affects, obviously, your RTT, your round trip time. In terms of computer networks, the signal, when we talk about a signal, really it's that data packet. Remember in episode 1, course 1 in Academy, we spoke about that TCP/IP packet, what is contained inside it, the bits, the bytes, all of those things. So when we talk about a signal, we're talking about that data packet, right? We have tools like ping, right? You can use the ping command to find out what the RTT is. I'm sure that almost everyone who watches this has used the ping command. If you've never used that, it's really easy. Just go to your computer. If you're on Windows, I don't even know how to do it on Windows. Terminal, I think it is, or CMD. Just type there on the command where it asks you to search. Just type CMD, enter, and it should bring up like a black window or something on Mac. I think it's terminal, and you can just type in ping space, I don't know, try Google, www.google.com, and you'll see that it sends out a ping. In Windows, it does 4 pings. In Mac, it just keeps sending out until you actually stop it. I think it's Command Z when you stop it. But when you do that, it will give you a round trip delay time, and it will tell you not only how long it took to get to each one of those hops along the way until it got to Google. It will also give you an average, a moving average of how long it took in total, the average to be able to get that information back to you. In Windows 4, looks at the average of those 4 and gives you a number. Those things in network language is very important. In esports is very, very important. So you can see how networking, this concept of performance, of efficiency, of governance, of ease of use. You can see how those objectives of productivity, you can see how all of those that are business outcomes, how they translate down to actual real world requirements. Because if you have a online gaming system and your network sucks, and your servers are hosted, on a non-CDN platform on the other side of the world, and there's huge lags, you can see that affects your business outcomes. That is going to affect the business, and people will just move to somebody else who has another game, maybe not as great as yours, but where it works properly, where it works reliably. I think that's where we're going to call it quits for today. We've actually covered quite a lot of things. It's the first episode. There's lots more content to come. So thank you for attending. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you've learned something, even though we haven't gone very deep technically on the first lesson. We needed to do this to set the platform, to understand that everything that we do, the reasons we do this, are ultimately to achieve business outcomes. Business outcomes drive these things. Understand that, and then when you build to that goal, to that objective. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate the audience. I appreciate the interaction as everybody has interacted on here. It really helps us a lot. It makes the experience so cool to be on here and interacting with you. Thank you. See you next week. Cheers.